February 25th, 1991. The Persian Gulf. The final hours of Desert Storm. The Iraqi military spots a high-value target. Operating dangerously close to the coast, the USS Missouri. 50,000 tons of American history. From a hidden battery on the Fall Peninsula, they launched two HY-2 Silkworm missiles. The Silkworm is primitive, but lethal. It carries a 1,000-pound warhead. It flies subsonic, skimming the wave tops to hide from radar. If it connects, it doesn't just disable the ship, it snaps the keel in half. The silence is shattered by the electronic scream of the SLQ-32 sensors. Two contacts break the radar horizon, fast, low, inbound. The fleet has seconds to react. The USS Missouri fights back with chaff. She explodes a massive cloud of aluminum foil into the sky, creating a wall of static designed to blind the enemy radar. One Silkworm takes the bait and crashes harmlessly into the water. But the second missile stays locked. It is closing on the hull. This moment changed naval warfare. Operating beside the Missouri is the British destroyer HMS Gloucester. Her crew detects the threat. They don't hesitate. The Sea Dart system engages. Two missiles intercept the Silkworm mid-air, destroying it just seconds before impact. It was the first confirmed kill of an incoming anti-ship missile in combat history. But in the chaos of combat, the fog of war can blind even the most advanced systems. 3 miles away, the frigate USS Jarrett is riding shotgun. On her deck, the Phalanx CIWS is spinning to counter a saturation attack. The safeties are off. The mode is set to autonomous. This creates a dangerous paradox. The Phalanx is designed to be faster than human reaction time. It doesn't hesitate, it doesn't flinch, but speed comes at a price. It lacks judgment. When the Jarrett's radar sweeps the sector, it hits the massive cloud of chaff exploding above the USS Missouri. To the fire control computer, that rapidly expanding cloud of metal isn't a decoy. It looks exactly like a missile in its terminal dive. The algorithm runs the math. The math says, threat. The system does exactly what it was coded to do. Engage the target. Zero human intervention. The hydraulics scream. The barrels spin to 4,500 rounds per minute. A stream of 20mm armor-piercing tungsten rips through the air. The rounds slam into the USS Missouri. 4 armor-piercing slugs penetrate the superstructure, bypassing the armor and striking the captain's cabin. This wasn't an accident. It was a calculation error. A textbook case of blue on blue. The last line of defense became the primary threat, not out of malice, but out of a limitation in the code. That was 1991. Now, look at the USS Gerald R. Ford today. $13 billion, the apex of naval engineering, nuclear-powered, electromagnetic launch systems. And what is bolted to the side of that futuristic flight deck? The same gun, the same silhouette. The Navy calls it the last line of defense. I call it a blind madman. Why? Why do we bolt a piece of Cold War hardware that shoots its own friends onto the most advanced warship in human history? And why do we keep it, when physics tells us it is statistically useless against the modern hypersonic threat? The answer isn't politics. Welcome to Navy Decoded. If you want to understand the raw engineering reality behind the hardware, make sure you are subscribed. Because today, we don't look at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. We look at the arithmetic of attrition, the only weapon that allows us to trade cheap lead for expensive threats. Let's strip away the Pentagon press releases. Let's look at the raw engineering reality. Because if you look at the physics, you realize this weapon is trying to fight a war it wasn't designed for. The Phalanx was born in the 1970s. Its job was to kill the Harpoon and the Exocet. These are subsonic cruise missiles, sea skimmers, targets moving at roughly Mach 0.9 to Mach 2 for a radar tracking algorithm. Mach 2 is polite. It gives the computer time to think, time to calculate the lead angle, time to slew the heavy gun barrel into position. That was the Cold War. The variables have changed. Today, the threat isn't Mach 2, it is hypersonic. We are talking about the Chinese DF-17 or the Russian Zircon. We are talking about Mach 5+. That is over 1 mile per second. This creates a mechanical crisis, angular velocity. The Phalanx turret has a physical limit. Its hydraulics can only traverse at about 115 degrees per second. That sounds fast, but against a hypersonic glide vehicle, it is moving in slow motion. Imagine a Zircon missile approaching at Mach 5, at a range of 1 kilometer. If that missile pulls a high G cross-range maneuver or a terminal dive, the angle of engagement changes faster than the hydraulics can react. The mechanics simply hit a wall. The angular velocity of the target exceeds the physical limit of the gun. The computer knows where the target is, but the gun physically cannot catch up. It will always fire behind the target. It is chasing a ghost, and it gets worse. The modern hypersonic glide vehicle doesn't just fly fast, it maneuvers randomly. The Phalanx fire control computer relies on lead point prediction. It assumes the target will continue on a smooth, predictable path. But when the target is jinking randomly at Mach 5, those algorithms become useless. You cannot predict the future of a chaotic variable. Then there is the issue of blindness, the plasma sheath effect. When an object travels at Mach 5 or higher, the friction against the atmosphere is so intense that it ionizes the air around the missile. This creates a wrapper of superheated plasma. This plasma acts like a shield to the Phalanx's radar. It's a stealth cloak made of fire. The plasma swallows the radar waves. The return signal dies. The sensor goes blind. And it doesn't just blind the radar, it deceives the optics. Even if you switch to the infrared camera, looking through that plasma is like trying to aim a sniper rifle through a heat mirage on a boiling highway. The target shimmers. It wobbles. The computer chases a ghost because it can't find the solid metal underneath. But let's play devil's advocate. Let's assume a miracle happens. Let's assume the Phalanx gets a lock. Let's assume the tungsten rounds hit the hypersonic missile dead center. You still die. This is what engineers call the kinetic trap. You don't need a physics degree to understand this. You just need to understand momentum. Think of it this way. If a 2-ton steel safe is dropped on your head, and you shoot it with a shotgun, you don't stop the safe. You just turn one solid heavy object into 1,000 jagged pieces of shrapnel, all still falling on your head at the same speed. If the Phalanx shreds a hypersonic missile, the wreckage doesn't stop. Physics dictates that the debris keeps moving forward at Mach 5. So, instead of being hit by one solid missile, your ship is hit by a supersonic shotgun blast of burning titanium, unspent fuel, and warhead fragments. This debris field hits the ship with the force of a freight train. It shreds the radar arrays. It tears through the unarmored hull. It ignites the jet fuel on the flight deck. Against a hypersonic glide vehicle, the Phalanx is not a shield. It is a placebo. It offers psychological comfort, not physical survival. Any rational engineer would rip these guns off the deck and throw them into the Atlantic. But the US Navy isn't doing that. They are keeping them. Why? Because the enemy isn't just sending hypersonics. They are fighting a different war, a war of economics.